Yeah, Newcastle are reportedly ready to sell the number 9 for a cut price deal of £18 million, which is a led to the likes of Chelsea, Man United, West Ham. The two have already rejected a loan offer for the 31-year-old, 31, from Atletico Madrid, while AC Milan have also shown an interest. Join us now for all the latest talkSPORT transfer guru, chief football correspondent, Alex Crook. Morning, Crookie.
Morning, Alex.
Good morning, boys. How are we?
Very well, very well. Friday's amongst us. Why wouldn't we be? Alex, listen, some great FA Cups coming up. Ties, two belters tonight. But what about this Newcastle story now? I don't like. I feel it's negative coming out of Newcastle at the moment.
Yeah, I think there has been a lot of negativity. I'm sure Eddie Howe will be trying to block off the noise because they themselves have got a big FA Cup game at Fulham tomorrow night. I actually fancy them to get through that tie. Fulham probably emotionally and physically drained after what happened in the League Cup in midweek, and Eddie Howe will see this as a big opportunity to keep their season alive, really, because of course they're out of Europe. They're a long way adrift in terms of the top four, but he is starting to get players back, so it's not all doom and gloom. Kieran Trippier looks like he's staying. I think Miguel Almiron, that's still open to debate, although from what I'm told, the player's not desperate to move over to Saudi Arabia. Yeah, but Callum Wilson's an interesting one, as you mentioned. He turned 31 in February. I was told yesterday that his name is being circulated to a number of Premier League clubs as someone who could be available. West Ham, amongst them, Chelsea as well. Manchester United have been mentioned, but as I told you yesterday, that they're not expected to spend big money on a striker this window, so I don't see that happening. He doesn't really fit the profile I think that Sir Jim Ratcliffe will look for in terms of recruitment. But if he can stay fit, I think Callum Wilson will be a good signing for somebody, and he might just see this as an opportunity to get one last big move, given his age.
Alex, why do you think it's been such a quiet transfer window? Because nothing's really happened, is it? I mean, we're getting to the latter stages of it now, and no real big deals have gone through, have they?
No, it's absolutely staggering, Ray, when you think the spend of Premier League clubs combined last January was touching 800 million. This year. Whoa. 36 million has been spent, and very few permanent transfers. I think it's a combination of factors. I think a lot of clubs have been spooked by the charges that have been dished out to Everton and Forest, and they're all determined to stay on the right side of that financial ruling from the Premier League. That's why Newcastle are open to offers for some key players. I think also the fact the three teams that have come up from the Championship are finding it such a struggle in the Premier League, maybe with the exception of Luton, although you look at the table, there's still a drift of safety. That's stopping teams in the lower half of the table spending any money because they're gambling on those three teams going down. Chelsea have spent their dough. Manchester United are going through transition. Arsenal, I think, are still up against it financially. So I think it will continue to be a quiet window. I think what we might see in the last week is a flurry of loan deals with options to buy, like we've seen with Calvin Phillips, who's going to complete his move to West Ham today.
Alex, you're a big United fan. Pep Guardiola's press conference yesterday has gained a lot of attention this morning in the papers. He's claimed that Omar Berrada deserves a stand at the end of one of the ends of Old Trafford if he brings Manchester United back to the former glory. Now, it's an interesting one, moving from City to Manchester United. Are you happy about this, or...?
I think it's a brilliant appointment, and I think it's a sign of a changing of the guard at Old Trafford. This is not an appointment that would have been made without Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and it looks like United are finally going to try and get their boardroom in order. It's spiky from Pep Guardiola, obviously big rivalry between the two teams, but I think he's got a point. You know, Manchester United need a lot of surgery to be fixed. I think it was Ralph Rangnick who said they needed open heart surgery, and he's right. But this is the first step in the right direction. But it's not going to be fixed overnight. It's not going to be fixed in one or even two transfer windows. It's going to be a long-term project. But I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe is committed to that, and I think this will prove to be a shrewd appointment. The next thing they've got to get right is the director of football, because it's unforgivable that a club of the stature of Manchester United haven't had a director of football fit for purpose.
Alex, just a quickie, because we're going to go over to India in just a moment. Last night, Swansea shot themselves in the foot, trying to play out from the back again against Bournemouth. That was a tame effort, wasn't it?
Your pet hate, Al. You're right. I mean, the goals they conceded were ridiculous. Actually, going forward, they had a couple of chances, but they were so poor defensively. Bournemouth ran riot. David Brooks in particular, very impressive. Keep an eye on him between now and the end of the transfer window. There's interest from the top end of the Championship, the likes of Southampton and Leeds. And when I spoke to Andoni Iraola, the Bournemouth manager, last night and said, look, surely you want to keep him, he said, well, anything can happen in a transfer window. We'll see. There's still a week to go. So that was hardly a glowing endorsement of what David Brooks did last night.
Yeah. Also, Stamford Bridge. You're at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea Villa. Good game this one, eh?
Cracking game. It's live on talkSPORT 2, not on television, so you can't get it anywhere else. And I think it will be a really good tie. I think both managers will send out strong teams. Chelsea have built up a bit of momentum, particularly at home. And Unai Emery has this terrible record in the Cup. He's only ever won one domestic cup game as Aston Villa manager. They lost to Stevenage last season in the FA Cup, which took some doing. So I'm sure he wants to make amends as well.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.